You know, they say think globally and act locally, and that's what I started out trying to do here. The first video I made in this style was about a monument in my hometown dedicated to, quote, the first white man in the Saginaw Valley, aka White Man Rock. An activist in my hometown saw it and directed me to another activist, Elisa, who brought me into a group trying to address the monument issue, and we did that. Sort of. There's a new landmark that acknowledges the Anishinaabe people. There was a ceremony held in October, but not 6 months later, and it looks like this. All the panels are gone except for the welcome sign because they were never bolted down to begin with. So I'm going to tell you this story. We're going to talk about trying to help your community. We're going to talk about the dangers of taking half measures. And we're going to talk about why everybody's just about sick of white liberals. Hey, I haven't done one of those intro sequence things in a while. Let's do one of those. Let's play something Michigan. So if you've never heard of Saginaw, it's like an hour and change north of Detroit. It's a little run-down, steadily dwindling population, and it's full of strange little surprises. It's significantly racially segregated by the Saginaw River, black folks on the east side, white folks on the west. Serena Williams, Stevie Wonder, and Draymond Green are all from Saginaw. Question Mark and the Mysterians, the first band that anyone ever called punk rock, are from Saginaw. Greta Van Fleet are also from Saginaw. I think that's most of the big names. The poet Theodore Roethke is definitely seen as a hometown hero. Oh, also back when Stephen Colbert was a parody of conservative talking heads, he sponsored our local hockey team, the Saginaw Spirit. We had this mascot called Steagle Cobeagle the Eagle. And when John Oliver did an episode about police militarization, he mentioned an armored, mine-resistant truck the Saginaw police had been rolling around, and they all immediately died of embarrassment and had to kick Bone Crusher from the Transformers off the force. Words can't really do it justice, but one time I saw a man get heave-hoed out of a bar I was entering onto the sidewalk at my feet like a cartoon character. Stevie Wonder's got a rock, too. We can't really afford statues in Saginaw, so if you're important to us, I guess you get a rock. In 2021, my marriage fell apart and I moved back to my hometown of Saginaw, Michigan. One of the ways I kept myself sane through all of this was walking through Ojibwe Island, a man-made island in the center of town on the Saginaw River that splits the town in half. Weather permitting, I would do this pretty much every day. And every day I noticed this stone, and I assume it's just there to commemorate the park or something, but one day I finally walk up to it, and I read dedicated to Henri Nouvel, the first white man in the Saginaw Valley. And suddenly this place I went to get away from all the bullshit was making a point to remind me of the bullshit every time I walk through it.
A weekly reminder that they will build a literal monument to you simply for being a white man and showing up in a place.
A year later, in August of 2022, I made a video about the monument, which introduced me to the Ojibwe Project, a group of like-minded people who had the same thought that I had and were already 10 steps ahead of me, with some help from Saginaw's Marshall Fredericks Museum. We'll get to them later. They were having conversations with groups of people all around the city about the Nouvel Monument. We had weekly meetings to discuss our progress on a new monument and how to properly handle it. I'm still new to all of this, but I learned a lot from everybody involved. It felt really good to get involved at any level, especially about something that I personally felt passionate about. And I did try to stress the importance of getting this right and not taking half measures when we had those meetings. I alluded to pop culture a lot because that's my language, as you can tell if you've watched these videos. In one meeting, I mentioned the South Park episode where their town flag, which features a black stick figure being hanged by white stick figures.
I'll have my assistants hold up the flag, and you tell me what exactly you find racist about it.
You don't see anything wrong with that flag?
Gets replaced with a flag with a black stick figure being hanged by multicolored stick figures.
I am very excited to unveil our new South Park flag.
I don't get it.
Oh, see? There's people of all colors. And they added a black guy as one of the hangers, too, so it's not racist.
Hooray! This is our town flag. It's not as bad as South Park, but it is a bunch of chopped down trees and factory smoke shooting into the atmosphere. I also mentioned the episode of Parks and Recreation where a mural called The Spirit of Pawnee featuring a train running over Indians is about to be replaced.
The mural that normally resides here is called The Spirit of Pawnee, and it's very controversial. Someone tried to stab it once.
But instead, they just rename it Diversity Express to save money. Also, just like the Spirit of Pawnee, now that the word is out, the White Man Rock is being vandalized. Last time I was there, the word colonizer and a hammer and sickle had been tastefully added to the text. And the sitcom parallels kept on coming. See, it was my job to facilitate some of these conversations happening in the city, and I also attended conversations facilitated by my colleagues. One of those convos was held at Saginaw's Castle Museum, and most of the attendees that day also worked there, so we all learned a ton about the town that day. Most interestingly, there's no goddamn way that Nouvelle was the first white man in the Saginaw Valley. There were French fur trappers well before him. He probably gave mass somewhere on the Saginaw River, but not in Saginaw itself. It's like that episode of The Simpsons where Lisa learns that Jedediah Springfield was a bloodthirsty pirate, not the heroic pioneer she was taught to believe that he was.
Our town hero is a fraud.
Not to say that Nouvelle was a bloodthirsty pirate, but to say that his history, as presented on that rock, is a total fabrication, just like Jedediah Springfield. And how did we wind up with a monument that's a tribute to white supremacy? In the 1950s, when the rock was erected, it was originally intended to combat Catholic discrimination at the time, but there was pushback from Protestants against the rock saying the first Catholic in the Saginaw Valley. So first white man in the Saginaw Valley was the compromise that they could all agree on, which tracks for the 1950s. Anyway, I made my suggestions, so did Elisa, as did the others we were working with, but ultimately the people in charge were going to do what they were going to do. Those are the people at the Marshall Fredericks Museum, and in my estimation, they completely shit the bed. I mean, before I even talk about the missing panels, I just want to talk about the placement of the new monument. Here's a map of the island. There are 3 entrances, 2 on the southwest side, 1 on the northeast side. The White Man's Rock is near the southwest entrance where the cars enter, and there's another pedestrian entrance there. This is really the prime real estate. This is where most people enter the park. So it was my belief that any landmark created in reaction to the White Man Rock should be somewhere near here where it can be in conversation with the White Man Rock. They chose to put it on the other side of the island by the bike path. They're not even in eye shot of each other. And a lot of people who come and take the loop path, which is what most people do when they come to the island, will never know that the Ashkenazi marker is even there. It's pretty remarkable to me that they managed to marginalize a monument about marginalized people. I thought the whole point of the marker was to be in some kind of balance with the White Man Rock, but the rock is still there. The new monument is on the other, less visited side of the island. All the panels fell off. After a Facebook post of the dilapidated monument was seen and shared by some of us concerned locals, the Marshall Fredericks Museum responded with this. Update from the director. Thank you for all of your comments and concerns for the Native American land acknowledgement marker that was placed on Ojibwe Island back in October of 2023. We appreciate all who care deeply about this important installation, and it is wonderful to see the continued support from our community. Though there are rumors that the land marker was vandalized, we are here to state that vandalism did not play a role in the issue at hand. Unfortunately, the adhesive used during the installation process had failed in the cold temperatures. A team of us are working on fixing the issue and all will be reinstalled more permanently this spring. We thank you for your patience and understanding and promise that solving this issue is a priority. That's not great, for a couple reasons here. First and foremost, no one is taking accountability. I shouldn't have to tell you this, but when you have an Ashkenazi land acknowledgement ceremony for your land marker, and it falls apart a few months later, that's embarrassing, and you should respond with an ounce of humility. I mean, this thing is in Michigan, by a river. How the fuck was it supposed to survive one Midwestern winter? Is anyone taking responsibility for that? Why aren't the words sorry or apologize anywhere in this statement? This is just not a respectful way to handle a mistake, a clear mistake. And what's the point of any of this if it's not to pay respect? This is the issue you run into a lot with white liberals. Make no mistake, white liberals are the ones running the Marshall Fredericks Museum. They want to center themselves in narratives that aren't about them. They're so eager to do that they'll cut corners, and when they up, they just carry on like nothing happened. I mean, look at the Ojibwe Project website. It's been completely abandoned since 2022. It's still promoting events from 2022. They didn't even use it to promote the ceremony in 2023 or talk about the landmark. It just gives off the impression that that was all for show. That being said, I'm glad I got involved. I would encourage anyone to do the same. It's hard for me to live in the world sometimes. I take walks, I go to the gym, but I don't really engage with my community as much as I would like to. And this was an amazing opportunity to do that. I learned a lot in good ways and bad. And ultimately, no one's coming for us. We got to do this ourselves. We got to try and have whatever impact we can, or we're all going to get ran over. Also, most importantly, I learned a lot from Anishinaabe people about their culture and their history and how they preserve it and how they add on to it. I had to show you some of this jingle dress dance I shot at Marshall Fredericks in 2022. I'll post the whole thing on my Patreon. I started out just wanting everyone to feel welcomed at that park. I thought the White Man Rock prevented that. I made a video about it. That led to me taking some community action, but it didn't end the way I wanted it to or thought it should, so I'm making another video. If you make videos or know someone who does, or you write or you do a podcast and some wild shit is going on in your hometown, make stuff about it. If you don't do any of those things and you still want to be involved, use social media for good. Find the activists in your community, connect with them. The 2024 election is just a sequel to 2020, so wait, I think I can do a better graphic than that. The 2024 election is just a sequel to 2020, so normalize talking about our local politics. Cases like mine are not uncommon. There's just as much fuckery at the smaller levels as there is at the higher levels, but the more we call it out collectively and shame those responsible, the less we'll have to deal with in the future. The local archdiocese have a plan to cover up the rock with something new. I'm not sure exactly what that is yet. It's planned for 2025. That is a step in the right direction. My worry with this is that they'll cover up the rock and no one will ever know what it used to say. As much as I don't like this thing, I want people to know it was there for over 70 years. Another pop culture thing I showed the Ojibwe Project was Whoopi Goldberg's Tom and Jerry Blu-ray intros, where she gives context to the racist caricatures in those old cartoons.
Removing Mammy Two Shoes from this collection would be the same as pretending that she never existed.
There are these plaques around the island that document the sawmill that used to be there. After they change the White Man Rock, it's gonna need one of those plaques as well. Just like the screw up with the Anishinaabe landmarker, some accountability has to be taken. Last summer, Disney cut a scene with the N-word out of The French Connection without explanation from all digital media. Instead of putting a disclaimer before the movie or something, they just mutilated the past to suit the present. All stuff like that does is spread ignorance, so I hope the Archdiocese isn't about to pull a French Connection. I want to thank Elisa one more time for helping me get involved. If you're from Saginaw and you do yoga or you want to do yoga, check out Prem Yoga and Wellness. While I'm at it, shouts out to my patron Dave, a Saginaw guy I grew up with. He got out of Michigan. He makes puzzle books. Check him out. Also, check out my patron Critical Kate's YouTube channel. If you like video game essays, I think there's some truly one-of-a-kind stuff coming from Kate. And one more shout out to Brilliance Proper, just a cool hip-hop channel I find myself interacting with a lot online. He's rad on TikTok, but I want to see him make more YouTube vids, so go check out Brilliance Proper. Encourage him to make more stuff. And hey, it's my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. Everything I am as a journalist, I owe to you. And I gotta thank all the patrons. Whole lot of new names, and I love to see it, and let's keep it going, guys. I got a job at a cell phone store. I applied at the Marshall Fredericks Museum a year ago because I knew them from the Ojibwe Project, and I have an education from one of the best art schools in the country, but they didn't interview me. So now I work at a cell phone store, but also I got monetized on YouTube, so I'm hoping to hawk cell phones for as short a time as possible. So one more thing that didn't really fit anywhere else. We also have a rich, eccentric neurologist, Dr. Debshish Mirda. He's like a self-styled philosopher. He's got a YouTube page full of his inspirational quotes. I'll link it, such as, "Love is still alive in my heart. Dreams are still alive at the dead of night. Hopes are still dancing in my mind. Let us hope for the best. Let us dream and go for the quest. Today's dreams create tomorrow's hope, so act today and hope for the best." He also owns a bed and breakfast called the Montague Inn, and out front there's a row of busts of famous philosophers. You know, like Aristotle, Socrates, the Buddha, and of course, Dr. Debshish Mirda, MD. That's it. That's all I wanted to show you. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay nasty.
I want you to bring